Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hand of Fate 2. So we are one encounter into this new mission, and it was just a random encounter we added ourselves. So it didn't really change too much other than maybe it gave us some food or maybe some fame. The actual mission here is to figure out which of the three potential suspects are going to be the assassin by, I assume, finding 19 clues. There are 7 you get just by going through the very first card on the left there and asking questions. Of course, you kind of have to remember what they said, and then I broke the episode up, so yeah, that's going to be kind of difficult to remember. He basically said that each of the 3 people had worked for him for a long time. The female suspect worked as a spy in the 3rd Army, and one of the male suspects will talk if you get him drunk, or the other will make outlandish accusations if you get him drunk. I assume there's going to be more levels happening here after we go through these first 4 or 5 cards. So the very next event we have here is that we're in a general store, which is just going to be very generic. We want gold, so selling equipment might be the right move, because we're going to have to bribe a bunch of thieves. Buying food, probably not necessary. We don't need to buy healing, so the only thing really would be to sell equipment, and yeah, I just don't feel like there's a case for this. Bashing 50 enemies as they block to unlock this shard is going to take a while, and then repositing 25 northerners, we may make some progress here since we're on easy mode and that's automatic. So we probably can't really even afford anything else. It might be helpful to look at these cards so we know what they do, however, come to think of it. This is a mask. Interesting. Yeah, I couldn't even tell what this was supposed to be. I guess we could get a general idea of what the price for foods will be. That is a pretty awful place to run into the general store. And each of these playthroughs are going to just be fairly randomized, and at best you're going to be able to tilt the odds in your favor based on doing really good deck building at the beginning of each of these missions. But it does feel like there should be challenge versions of these, which maybe they won't be called challenges, but like pure versions of these missions where you can't modify any of the events or cards that are going to show up. But I'm not sure there really is going to be a mode like that. And Enlist is just going to be random, I assume, forever. So we've been ambushed by goblins. You turn to see a few goblins running away, giggling and pointing at you. So we have the Sea of Mischief, or clip, or lip. It looks like a sea. With no time to check what was stolen, you rush after the thieving devils, defeat the goblins before they blow their horn and escape. Some highwaymen emerge from the bushes to protect the goblins' thieves guild. That is a lot of people that we just got thrown into a fight with. So we have thieves. There will ever be a place for small hands and quick Wits. Defeat goblins quickly to avoid losing your items for good. Thieves attack more frequently when goblins are alive to protect the spoils. And so you have these goblins that look like they're chewing on a cigar, although their mouth closes and the lip goes past where the cigar is. So the animation isn't particularly great, from head on at least. Okay.
Get up! Step back!
So we'll want to kill as many characters as possible, as fast as possible, which is in no way different from any other fight. Where's the last guy? There he is. We lose our haircut by wearing a helmet, which probably highlights where the customization concept falls apart and why the haircuts are so terrible in this game. You take back your soldier's sword from the unconscious goblin. As soon as you do, with a splutter, the goblin in question awakes and flips away from you. Giggling, it escapes into the forest. You gain 2 fame. So goblins are colluding with the Thieves Guild now. With the thugs defeated, you search the bodies for valuables. So we now have the gambler's jewel.
Passed through more than a few hands. Every gambler loses eventually, even when the deck is stacked in their favor.
So having a +2 to your final score in dice gambits is going to be very helpful as far as an item. And we got some food, but we did also take some damage there. Our health isn't great.
Once again, we return to the inn, seeking clues to save a life. When we look into memories, so many things are left unsaid and clouded. Why this life? Why this inn?
So it feels to me like you might be going in circles here. Just every level is going to end at returning to the Mulberry Inn, even if the Mulberry Inn card is going to be in different locations. And yeah, the narrator is definitely acting as too much of a speed bump now. There needs to be a way that they figure out to have him talk, but you can also play without cutting him off. And that probably would have to be a case where you just have to establish that he is just almost constantly talking, and that you don't really have to listen to what he says, which then devalues everything he says to such an extreme amount that doesn't really work. So you've got to just make him really piffy, in the sense that he says one sentence very quickly, and that's it. And yeah, it would be it's all about the delicate balance here, I would imagine. They need him just to say yes.
Too egotistic? Certainly.
Yeah.
Yet I would never have wrestled the secrets of the elements from the Lords of Beyond were I not.
Like, that extra thing, was I too bold, is about as much as he should mutter to himself. And that should be it. Keep it down to 8 words at most. You enter the Mulberry Inn and you find Father Gruffrey at his usual table. By the fireplace, you sit down across from him. He scratches some numbers on one of the many rolls of paper strewn across the table, then glances up at you. 3 days until the assassin comes for me, and 3 suspects. How apt. 3 days to uncover the liar. Okay. I would like you to follow one of my silencers on the job, trading trust for information. Pay for it if you must. So, I should probably pick like Grindan or Borden, because they said that Rowena only really seems to care about money, so we probably couldn't earn her trust anyways. But I definitely should ask questions. Ask why an underling would want to kill him. We all covet gold. That is why we are in this business now. If somebody has paid a high price for my head, then there is little I can do. He considers his wine for a moment. I'd imagine the assassin is more inclined towards lying. If you can root out the liar, you will uncover the assassin too. Gallifrey said the assassin will always lie regardless of their personality. Interesting, so we have a new clue. Although, if you're already a thief, wouldn't it be your personality to lie? Pretty much anyways. Okay, so I feel like the best move is to go with Grindan, because we don't really have enough gold to bribe Rowena, and we don't really have enough gold to buy alcohol to get Borden drunk. So let's go with this one. I've told Grindan to stake out the castle by Moorhammer Lake for any movement, out or in. The lady of the castle owes us a considerable debt. You note the meeting
have a
point.
liking for strange bedfellows. Here you are, helping thieves challenge thieves, without a thought for their ultimate victims.
You note the meeting point on your map and retire for the night. So we have a card called the Guild. And I imagine that means that's the spot we leave by. Okay, and yeah, this next level and layout seems like it would have been different had I chosen a different person, and it's not very big. Let's see. Let's not return to the Mulberry Inn.
A game of chance or two, perhaps.
Besides the busy Empire Road, you spy a ramshackle stall whereupon a few ramshackle people are seated on stools rolling dice. You approach the stall, and behind the table is a little girl practicing on a poorly tuned violin. Besides her waits a squat lady clad in flowery apron. Welcome, have a seat. Do try the spice cakes. I baked them this morning. Okay. So, we should play dice here because we have the dice benefit in our inventory of the Gambler's Jewel, which gives us +2 to our score, whereas I don't think any of the other items we have would affect that. But we also have our companion who would give us an extra dice if we need it, so dice is the right move, unless we were just going to try and steal from patrons, which is going to end up in a fight almost certainly. Bird of Smite smiles at you warmly. What would you like to play? I've got dice, I've got cards, and buckets of coins for winning. Weird that the precision gameplay mechanic and the wheel gameplay mechanic not being offered. Let's play dice. We have not enough to bet 14. How much are you looking to bet? These are our rates today. Bet 5. Remember, Poppet, it's double or nothing. Berta hands you 3 well-worn dice. If your third roll is the highest, you'll win enough to buy your sweetheart something from the market. Alright. So the target here is 19. The target was like 0. 19 is huge. Like, you would be insane to add an extra dice here or to try and reroll the 5 for a 6. Which, by the way, our score is 19, but the actual number of pips we've collected there is only 17. We got +2 because of our ring. Feels like there should be visually something that depicts that, even if it would just be like a +2 somewhere by effect. Yep. Now for your second roll. Roll at least 19 on your third and final roll. Oh man. The way this is working is going to be terrible. We set our own target and we've set it incredibly high. So yeah, there's just like no way this is going to, we're gonna win here. So let's just lose. I mean, even if we throw in another dice, it's not going to help us. A 6 would get us to 15, plus 2 would only still get us to 17. This is your last roll. Try. The grubby gamblers beside you watch eagerly. So what's the point of the second roll? You just have like 2 chances? Alright. And it's funny, they're saying rolls, but it probably should be labeled as rounds. And again, we can't win here, so we'll just give up. Yeah. I'm sorry, dear, the dice are not in your favor today. Well, let's try that again. And just go with 5 gold again. So the move here, and they're hiding that 3rd dice in the way it's animated, that they you can barely even see it behind the other dice. We want to get really low rolls. And that's still a fairly high roll. And see, I don't know what the point of the score here is, as far as selecting to re-roll anything. Am I trying to get a lower score, or am I trying to get a higher score? We need to learn that, so I'm gonna see what happens. That doesn't change anything. And see, that's probably a good thing that I didn't get a higher score. Maybe I'm misreading this. Maybe it says roll at least 16 on your 3rd and final roll, as in on the 3rd and 4th roll. Alright. Well, we do know what we're doing here, at least. So we've won that time, I'm pretty sure. And it doesn't offer to cheat. So. Yeah, and there's just no reason not to do dice again. Hmm. 14. Seems like the second roll is really just wasting your time. 13. We'll re-roll this one. 16, 18. So now that we're 18, is the target 18 or did we just win? Let's see. No. We just raised the target on ourselves. So why would you want to do that? It's roll low, then roll high. The odds definitely just not going to be in your favor.
Within games, within games.
We succeeded. We got lucky with 3 6s. And I got 2 achievements there where I've won 20 dice games and rolled all 3 6s. Okay, so now we have like 15 gold. With a dull tinkle, Berta rings a small restless handbell. Time to go home. She hands out the rest of her baked goods, and the rough patrons wander off sadly. And our item here has given us the ability to see a location. Which probably isn't going to do us much good.
An opportunity to better understand these lands, perhaps.
On the edge of the Empire, far from the capital, sits a lonely watchtower. You approach with caution, knowing few travelers. Let's see, we'll try to sneak past the tower again. And this time we should be able to win this dice roll. And that should reveal the rest of the board, which is just one card. You scale the tower without incident. You look to the east and west and you gain 2 fame. So it only told me what was east and west. We already knew what was in both of those locations because there's nothing in one location and we came from the other direction. It does seem like a lot of these event cards are really only going to tell you 2, maybe 3 cards. They're not going to reveal everything. You turn to gaze to the north and south. You continue your journey. So there's something I have to do to get that reward, and it's probably bribe them. And I just didn't have money at the moment to spend on bribing them.
Thus we see the contempt the Empire holds your kind in.
Duel. A careless comment in the Imperial Tavern gains you some unwanted attention. The soldier pushes through the throng. Though merely a corporal, you sense his eagerness to prove himself. The Empire has no place for honorless sellswords, he says loudly, sizing you up with contempt. Coin slaves like you are little more than the undisciplined thugs. Nobody cares for your outrageous claims of heroism, so this is a one of steel we're going to fight. You think you know how to handle that thing, do you? He continues gesturing at your weapon. I am Cassius, the finest swordsman in my company, or would you like me to prove your mettle against a real warrior, or are goblins and the corrupted the limits of your talent? So, accept the duel, obviously, is the choice here. And this was another random event that we added in the deck building, having really nothing to do with the actual mission we're on. It does create this weird split between the random events and the scripted missions. Cassius is very drunk. Watchmen can block, greatly reducing incoming damage. Use bash to open them up for damage. Okay. Well, that was very, very fast. I didn't even knock him down. There is something about the animation where they kind of just fall downward too when you defeat an enemy. It's kind of repetitive. We're seeing it at the end of almost every fight. It's not the worst ragdolling I've ever seen by any means, but it is a little awkward and janky in the way it's animated. Perhaps that is in part because they're not making grunts or sounds of pain as they fall down, and not really making a lot of sound effects at all. Enough, your opponent steps back, hands raised. I don't have time for this nonsense. The town crowd cheers. Your victory and tales of your battle are told and retold, your prowess growing with each telling. We've now gained 8 fame, which probably won't help us too much in this mission. Weirdly, that too did not end with a reward though. So what would I have had to have done? Or do you just have to play events over and over again and sometimes get lucky? I don't know, that may be the case. Or maybe I should have refused the duel. Which seems really out of character for any kind of hero character you're playing.
Assassins.
Go to the guild.
I have little love for them, less still for the criminal guilds that fill the cities these days. Bankers, thieves, assassins, merchants, kings. Each tries to use their power to control those around them.
With a shout, Grindan signals your arrival at the castle by Moorhammer Lake. You find some long grass and settle down for the day. Despite being a stakeout, Grindan happily talks quite loudly. You know, my sources tell me the lady inside is wanted for high treason. He suddenly pulls out a bit of charcoal and paper. Would you like my autograph? Sure. Let's go with yes. You allow him to scribble his name on a roll of paper. He tucks it lovingly into your hand. Grindan trusts you a little more. Time passes, but nobody leaves or enters the modest castle. I say, who are you anyway? Grindan retrieves a boiled sweet from the paper bag and pops it in his mouth. I've not seen you around here. Say you're the leader of the Thieves Guild in disguise. Say you're a new recruit, which is more believable. I guess we'll go with new recruit. Oh really? I've heard we didn't need any more recruits, that we're struggling to feed the mouse we have already. Grindan squints at you suspiciously, stroking his head. Tell me, what do you do to get recruited? Let's see, say you stole the shoes off of Father Graffi while he was sleeping. Say you stole the stars from the sky and put them in his eyes. Well, believable doesn't seem to be working, so let's go with silly. The gaudy thief blushes. Grindan trusts you a little more, so he wants you to lie and make outlandish statements like he does. Okay. Little else happens during this stakeout. You spend most of the time watching a dog sleep. Before you head your separate ways, you take the chance to question Grindan. Let's see. What do we know? We could ask for an opinion about Father Graffi. If he's a liar, it's not going to help us much. If we could ask his favorite food, which we know nothing about. We could ask about his family, which we know nothing about. Or we could ask about his past, which is the one thing that I think we do know a little bit about. So it's probably smart to take this choice, although I imagine I'm just going to be able to ask everything. Well, I used to be a famed actor, but that was a while ago. Okay, so that's one more clue. So now we'll just go through the rest of them since they're all going to be options. And so pretty much the only way you don't get that requirement satisfied is if you're just lazy and don't want to have the conversations. Which, if you were playing this scenario twice, you don't need to get the requirement done, I would imagine. Father Graffi, a doddering old fool. I'm surprised he hasn't already been replaced by a younger, more dashing guild member. Well, if he's lying about that, then he would be the assassin, and then he would have more respect for him. But he may still assassinate him for money, even if he does respect him and his life. He's gone soft in his old age. The other day, he let one of the rabble go free after they mucked up a job. No thumbs chopped off, nothing. Ask about his favorite food, I guess. A great question. It would be sugar spun swan, no doubt. Those don't seem like those are really clues, because the clue number's not going up. Ask about his family. Who needs family when I have so many devoted followers? I bet he really was an actor, and that would explain the giving of the autograph, which probably means he's telling the truth, which probably means he's not our assassin. Grindan has checked his appearance in the reflection of his blade. You're going to bid goodbye. You wonder how much Grindan has told you is a lie. And we gain 2 fame. It does seem to me like we're just gaining fame a lot of times for no reason. Back to the inn we go. And it's basically the same text prompts as we've already seen. I hope the job with Grindon was fruitful today. You're not dead with a knife in your back, so I presume yes. It would be prudent to review with what my silencers have said. When you have a quiet moment, perhaps you will catch a lie in the process. Review collected clues at the campfire. Okay. Let's talk about this goblin problem. What goblin problem do I really have? Goblins, from our guild, he scratches his chin in annoyance. Their loyalty to the guild is tenuous at best. Here, take this.
So much folly begins and ends with crime.
Let's see. This item will always be stolen instead of other equipment or gold. As a thief's folly. 0 defense. Ring. A funny bunch, goblins. Okay. So the next level is to go with Borden or Rowena. We still probably may not have enough money, but I imagine a bribe is more expensive than ale, so let's go with Borden. I think we've eliminated the other guy as a suspect. Borden is going to pick up some lamps from Shipwreck Port that have been, let's say, repossessed from their owners. You note the meeting point on your map and retire for the night. So it's always going to be the guild, and each of these levels are going to be small layouts, but there's 3 of them, so that's not that, it's not that small of a overall mission.
Wits or weapons? Perhaps both will fulfill you here.
As you approach a bridge high in the mountains, you see that it's already occupied. From your viewing angle, you notice the bridge structure has been damaged. With luck, you may be able to knock out one of the supports with a thrown object, causing the bridge to collapse. Yeah, I think I'd like that to happen. Let's see. Should we throw a piece of equipment, or should we throw a rock? Now notice that this event doesn't give us any kind of reward. So this event card, we just wanted to play it once to know what would happen. Now that we know what would happen, we will almost certainly never play this event again. So I'll just throw a rock. You quickly look around and settle for a hefty stone. Right. I am trying to hit the silver spots, I guess. And that seems highly unlikely that we would have gotten that.
You must harness your will and find the quiet stillness inside you.
Those were much, much smaller targets. The rock flies into the canyon, alerting the enemies of your presence. One-handed weapons are recommended against northerners. Is this the card that we're supposed to use against northerners? Yes. Supposed to reposit. Okay. I probably shouldn't have been shooting for the silver and should have just tried to target the bigger red targets for a medium level of success. That would have potentially lowered the number of people we were going to fight.
There is nothing
We need to take these guys out quickly. I'm trying to reposit, but I don't know really what even the right buttons would be. So I'm like shield bashing Probably more than repositing. You search the Fallen for anything of value, gaining 4 fame, plus 15 max life, plus 10 food. That's pretty good rewards. Now we know where Return to Mulberry Inn is, so we don't have to waste our time looking for that. If we inspect that, yes, we did not do a single reposit there. Nor did we bash 50 enemies as they blocked. So we aren't really making any progress. We have beaten 7 dice gambits with this ring, but we're gonna have to use the Gambler's Jewel quite often to get 60 successes there. Let's see. Still, I don't think any reason to buy any of this equipment. Not really any reason to buy food. Not really reason to let's see. Not really reason to sell anything either. So we'll just leave the general store. And this time the goblins will have stolen the Thieves' Folly card. So now we're just going to fight a whole bunch of people. Silencers cut your throat or cut your purse, it makes no mind to them. See, are we supposed to be fighting this guy, or are we supposed to be taking out the silencers first? I'm getting knocked down quite a bit. Perhaps part of the problem is in the animation in that it zooms in on the dead body or the fallen body of characters. You take back your Thieves' Folly from the unconscious goblin. As soon as you do, with the split of the goblin in question awakens and flips away from you, giggling it escaped in the forest. You gain 3 gold. I am noticing we only have 1 night until the assassination, so it may be a case that you might just lose if you don't find the assassin in the first 2 levels, or the first 3 levels. You may not be able to play it to the way that you would interact with all 3 of the potential suspects. So goblins are clearing with the Thieves Guild now. Let's see, what else do we find? Get 30 success or huge success results in precision gambits to unlock this shard. Only 1 helm could be worn at a time. We already have a helm, or we could just get a shield, which would then need to defend 30 attacks. I think I'll take this. But I honestly don't think we have
Good. Take this
A
chance
weapon.
to review the clues you have learned so far.
The roadside inn welcomes you with a warmth, glow, and flowing mead. Food for sale has refreshed. Equipment for sale is refreshed. So let's see if we can trade. Really, I just wanted to cook some food here. A hunched elderly trader blinks up at you. Thieves Guild, hey? He shakes. Even the good ones are turning to the guild. So let's see. What equipment could we buy? Can't afford that. Probably don't want to buy any food. We want to sell equipment. Yeah. You have a one-handed soldier sword, which would let me use the shield. Or, you know what, I'm just going to sell this, and I'm going to sell this. Alright. I'm going to cook some food. Get up to like 80. Yeah, we can go to 85, I think. We can even go to 90. And if we wanted to review the clues, we could do that, but I don't think we really need to do that. We don't need to review the mission. Let's just move forward. You travel to the shipwreck port by wagon. You ride in relative silence until Borden turns to you and asks quite seriously, "What do you think of the boss?" You tell him that you're proud of working under such a great man. That you tell him that you find Father Graffi hard to read. I think the second choice makes a lot more sense. Borden trusts you a little less. Interesting. At the port, you're approached by a pirate bearing a load of stolen lamps. Borden goes to give him a sack of gold, presumably payment. So, if somebody trusts you a little less, does that mean that they might be the assassin, or they might not be the assassin, or do the two things not directly correlate at all? The unusually pale pirate shakes his head. No, he pulls out a rusty bucket and his sword. I want blood. Theirs. Borden looks at you expectingly, as if you shouldn't protest. I'm gonna draw 3 life pain cards, which... Okay, I guess we could do that. But that could be like minus 15 life 3 times over. They probably don't have minus 20 or higher life pain cards. Borden trusts me a little more now that I've donated blood. You retrieve the crates of stolen lamps and pile them onto the wagon before settling off. When you arrive at the drop point, Borden is seized with sudden emotion. I'm sorry I asked you to give blood. I'm a terrible person, aren't I? Tell him that he is quite a terrible person. Or attempt to comfort him. I'd imagine attempt to comfort him is probably the right choice. Right, so we should just go for the silver here. Right. Maybe red is bad. Always. Maybe it is. I don't know. Borden trusts me a little more. Borden wrings his hands as if he would very much like to leave. I should go. Here's what we want to ask. We want to ask about his past and see if he lies. See, I don't know if I should be telling you that sort of thing. Let's see if we could bribe him with 8 gold. You know, obviously takes your money, you lose 8 gold. Right. There we win. The dice roll.
Victory. You are learning.
I was a farmer before this. Ask him what he thinks about Father Graffi. Boss always makes sure we get our cut. You can't ask any better, really, in a guild of scoundrels like us. Now, is that possibly a lie? I mean, we basically have to ask Father Graffi if that was the truth or not. Alright. Neither one of those seemed like they were clues. Ask about his favorite food, I guess? Ah, blackberry tart, or maybe apple tart. Borden begins to sweat, seemingly from the pressure of the question. Interesting. And ask about his family. Again, we'll just bribe for information. And obviously takes your money. Like, I'm bribing for information, and that's probably lowering the target by spending more money. I probably don't need to do that. I probably could have just spent 5 gold and the target would have been 12 instead of 10, and then with all my cheating going on the dice rolls, I would have won anyways. Borden looked sadly to the ground. She left me for a traitor. You don't want to probe any further. Borden said his wife left him for a traitor. Borden wrings his hands if he would very much like to leave. I should go. We bid goodbye. Wonder how much Borden has told you today was a lie. Okay. So with that, this is a good point, I think, to end this episode. We could go for one more event and one more conversation. We may have set ourselves up for some failure in that we may not have enough gold to bribe the third and final suspect. And we aren't really finding enough clues, weirdly. It seems like there should have been a lot more clues, which makes me wonder if there are actually random event cards that would have given us clues, but we'd have to have figured out that they would have given us clues and done a much better job at the deck building when we first started this mission, which would then just make this yet another mission that we'd have to go back and try and get gold on at a later date, maybe that's going to be the case, that there will just be like 10 missions by the time we do the final mission for the first time, that we didn't need to go back and play a second time, which that would definitely be a lot of time commitment. I'm hoping what happens is that very quickly, either in the next mission or the mission after that, we have enough random event cards and we know what they do, that we don't run into these problems again, and we don't get into missions where you just can't possibly get gold on them. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and keep on watching. Thanks.